Before the sun rises, before the noise of the world begins its steady hum, before the demands of the day reach for your attention, there is a sacred moment that belongs only to you. It is a quiet opening in time, a doorway between what was and what will be. And in that doorway, if you are willing, you can meet God. Not the God of fear, not the God of punishment, not the God of rules written by frightened minds, but the living presence that breathes you. The invisible intelligence that beats your heart without your permission, the silent awareness that watches your thoughts drift by like clouds across an endless sky. Every morning you awaken, and the first thought you choose becomes the architect of your day. Will you begin in scarcity, or will you begin in abundance? Will you begin as a body burdened by yesterday, or as a soul newly born into possibility? The choice is yours, and it is made in the quiet seconds before you even place your feet on the floor. When you start your day with God, you are not performing a ritual. You are remembering who you are. You are not this restless mind that replays old arguments and rehearses future worries. You are not the story you keep telling about what went wrong. You are not the mistakes, the failures, the labels that others placed upon you. You are the awareness behind all of it. You are the infinite field in which every thought appears and disappears. You are the sky, not the storm. The ego wants you to wake up and immediately enter the marketplace of comparison. It whispers, what do I need to fix? What do I need to prove? Who is ahead of me? What am I lacking? It thrives on urgency and fear. It feeds on competition and the illusion of separation. And if you listen to it first thing in the morning, you hand over the creative power of your day to a voice that has never known peace. But when you wake up and say quietly and deliberately, I am one with the source of all creation, something extraordinary happens. You shift, you return, you remember, I am are the most powerful words you will ever speak. Whatever follows them begins to shape your reality. When you say, I am tired, you instruct your body to comply. When you say, I am overwhelmed, you align yourself with chaos. But when you say, I am connected to God, you are affirming a metaphysical truth that no circumstance can erase. You are not trying to reach God. You are not trying to earn God. You are not waiting for God to arrive. You are an expression of God, individualized in form, experiencing itself as you. Imagine the ocean. Each wave rises with a unique shape, a distinct movement, a temporary identity. One wave may look larger, another smaller. One may crash dramatically against the shore, another may gently dissolve into the sand. But every wave is made of the same substance. No wave is separate from the ocean. No wave must strive to become water. It already is. You are a wave in the ocean of the divine. When you start your morning with God, you are not adding something to yourself. You are dissolving the illusion that you were ever separate. Close your eyes for a moment, even now, and feel the breath entering your body. You are not doing the breathing. It is happening. Life is breathing you. There is an intelligence orchestrating trillions of cells in perfect harmony. There is a wisdom digesting your food, repairing your skin, regulating your heartbeat. That same wisdom governs the movement of galaxies, and it lives in you. Why would you begin your day disconnected from that? The world will invite you into fear before you even brush your teeth. Notifications, headlines, expectations. The endless stream of more money, more recognition, more productivity. The ego insists that your worth is conditional, that you must earn love, that you must chase validation, that you are behind. But God whispers something different. You are already enough. You were enough before the promotion, before the relationship, before the applause, before the approval. You were enough when you first opened your eyes as a child, untouched by comparison. And you are enough now. The sun does not wake up wondering if it deserves to shine. The flowers do not hesitate before blooming. The sky does not ask permission to be vast. They express their nature effortlessly because they do not consult the ego. They simply are. And so are you. When you start your day with God, you align with your true nature instead of your conditioned identity. You become the observer of your thoughts rather than their servant. You notice the old patterns arise: resentment, doubt, self-criticism, but you no longer bow to them. You see them for what they are, echoes of a past that no longer exists. There are no justified resentments. Not because what happened was acceptable, not because pain was not real, but because holding on to resentment is like gripping a burning coal and expecting someone else to be hurt. When you awaken in the morning and carry yesterday's anger into today, you chain yourself to a moment that has already dissolved into memory. Forgiveness is not something you do for others. It is something you do to return to yourself. Each morning is an invitation to release, to say, I no longer choose to carry what does not serve my soul. To recognize that your inner peace is more valuable than being right. To understand that every grievance is an attachment to the ego's identity as victim. You are not a victim, you are a creator. Your thoughts are not passive. They are energetic instructions. They are vibrational signals sent into the field of infinite possibility. When you begin your day in gratitude, you amplify abundance. When you begin your day in trust, you invite synchronicity. When you begin your day in love, you dissolve fear. This is not positive thinking. It is alignment. The orange is a simple teacher. When you squeeze an orange, orange juice comes out. Not because life is unfair, not because someone provoked it, but because that is what was inside. If anger pours out of you when you are squeezed by circumstance, it is because anger was within. If compassion pours out, it is because compassion lived there. The morning is your opportunity to choose what fills you before the squeezing begins. Fill yourself with God. Fill yourself with silence. Fill yourself with the awareness that you are more than this body, more than this schedule, more than this temporary role you are playing. Say to yourself, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Feel the truth of it. You have lived before this form, and you will live beyond it. The body ages, but the soul does not wrinkle. The personality fluctuates, but the essence remains untouched. When you identify solely with the body, you fear its decline. When you identify solely with the personality, you fear rejection. But when you identify with the soul, fear begins to lose its grip. The soul always knows. It knows when you are out of alignment. It knows when you are compromising your integrity. It knows when you are shrinking to fit someone else's expectations. And it also knows when you are expanding into your authentic self. Each morning, before you speak to anyone else, speak to your soul. Ask, what would you have me do today? Where would you have me serve? How can I be an instrument of love? And then listen. Listening is an act of surrender. It requires that you quiet the mental chatter long enough to hear the subtle guidance beneath it. God does not shout. The ego shouts. God whispers. You will feel it as a nudge, a gentle idea, a sudden clarity, a calm certainty that does not need external validation. Follow that. When you start your day with God, you are not asking for a life without challenges. You are asking for the awareness that every challenge contains a lesson. You are stepping into the understanding that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you and for you. Even the difficulties are teachers. The person who tests your patience is revealing where you still seek control. The setback that disrupts your plan is teaching you flexibility. The loss that breaks your heart is opening you to compassion you did not know you possessed. Without resistance, you do not grow. Without darkness, you do not recognize light. But when you begin with God, you move through darkness differently. You do not interpret it as punishment. You see it as preparation. There is a field of infinite potential surrounding you at all times. Quantum physics calls it energy. Mystics call it consciousness. I call it God. It responds not to your words alone, but to your dominant vibration. And your vibration is set in the first moments of your awareness each day. So choose deliberately. Before your feet touch the ground, say thank you. Thank you for breath. Thank you for another opportunity to learn, to love, to evolve. Gratitude is the gateway to abundance because it acknowledges sufficiency in the present moment. And abundance is not about accumulation. It is about recognition. You cannot experience abundance while insisting that something essential is missing. You are not missing anything. You may desire growth. You may welcome change. But at your core, you are whole. The ego thrives on the illusion of incompleteness. It tells you that fulfillment lies in the future, that once you achieve a certain milestone, then you will rest, then you will feel worthy, then you will be happy. But the future is a concept. Life is now. Living in the now is not a spiritual cliche. It is the only place where God can be experienced. The past is memory, the future is imagination. But this moment, this breath is alive. When you begin your morning in presence, you anchor yourself in eternity. You realize that time is a tool, not a prison. You understand that the only point of power is here. Say to yourself, I am here. I am aware. I am connected. Feel how that shifts your energy. You do not have to chase purpose. Purpose unfolds when you align with love. You do not have to force inspiration. Inspiration flows when you remove resistance. You do not have to control outcomes. You only have to control your alignment. The sky does not struggle to hold the clouds. It allows them to pass. Be like the sky. Let thoughts come and go without attachment. Let emotions rise and fall without identifying with them. You are the vastness in which they occur. And when you forget, because you will begin again. That is the beauty of morning. It is renewal embodied. It is grace in motion. It is the universe saying, here, try again. This time, remember. Remember that you are love. Not seeking love, not earning love, but being love. Remember that what you give expands. If you offer kindness, you strengthen kindness within yourself. If you offer judgment, you reinforce judgment in your own heart. The world you experience is a reflection of the consciousness you hold. So hold love, even when it is inconvenient, even when it is misunderstood, even when it feels vulnerable, especially then. Starting your day with God is an act of courage. It means you refuse to participate in the collective anxiety. It means you choose faith over fear. It means you trust an invisible intelligence more than visible chaos. Faith is not blind belief. It is inner knowing. It is the quiet certainty that there is an order beyond appearances. It is the willingness to walk forward without seeing the entire staircase. You are supported in ways you cannot yet perceive. There are forces aligning on your behalf when you choose alignment within yourself. Synchronicities are not accidents, they are confirmations. When you walk in harmony with your highest self, life begins to cooperate. This does not mean every desire manifests instantly. It means you begin to desire differently. You crave peace more than possessions. You value connection more than comparison. You seek meaning more than status. And in that shift, you find freedom. Freedom is not the absence of responsibility. It is the absence of inner compulsion. It is living from intention rather than reaction. It is responding from love rather than fear. Each morning, before the world defines you, define yourself. I am peaceful. I am guided. I am abundant. I am a channel for divine love. Do not say these words mechanically. Feel them. Embody them. Let them saturate your consciousness until they become your natural state. You are not here to shrink. You are not here to compete for crumbs of approval. You are not here to repeat unconscious patterns inherited from generations before you. You are here to awaken. Awakening is not dramatic. It is subtle. It is the gradual realization that the voice in your head is not who you are, that the roles you play are temporary costumes, that the essence of you is timeless, limitless, and intimately connected to all that is. When you start your day with God, you step into that awareness intentionally. You choose to live from your highest self rather than your smallest fear. And as you do, something extraordinary happens. The world begins to mirror your inner transformation. Relationships soften. Opportunities emerge. Obstacles reveal hidden blessings. Not because the world changed first, but because you did. Everything is energy. And when you shift your internal state from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust, from ego to soul, you alter the frequency you emit, and life responds accordingly. So tomorrow morning, before the rush, before the noise, before the old habits, reclaim your attention, pause. Place your hand over your heart, breathe, and remember that you are a divine being. Remember that you are connected to an infinite source. Remember that this day is not a burden but a gift. Remember that you are not alone. Start your day with God, and you will walk through the world as light. Not because you are perfect, not because you are without struggle, but because you know who you are. And when you know who you are, no external circumstance can define you. You are the ocean in motion. You are the sky watching the storm. You are the awareness behind the thought. You are the love you seek. Begin there. Begin every day there. And watch how your life transforms, not through force, but through remembrance. Listen every day, not to the noise of fear, but to the whisper of the divine within you, guiding you home. And as you continue along this sacred path of beginning each day in communion with the divine, you will start to notice something subtle yet profound unfolding within you. The outer world may still move at its hurried pace. Deadlines will still exist. Responsibilities will still call your name. But there will be a stillness underneath it all, like the quiet depth beneath the surface of a vast lake. The winds may ripple the top, but far below, there is calm. That depth is your true home. Most people live at the surface of their lives. They identify with the ripples. They react to every passing breeze. A single comment can disturb their peace. A minor inconvenience can color their entire day. But when you root yourself in the eternal each morning, you begin to live from the depths rather than the surface. You respond instead of react. You observe instead of absorb. You remain centered while the world spins. This inner anchoring changes how you see others. You begin to recognize that every person you meet is also carrying invisible burdens, unspoken fears, and silent prayers. The rude driver, the impatient colleague, the distant partner, each one is acting from their own level of awareness. When you start your day aligned with God, compassion becomes your natural posture. You no longer need to win every interaction. You no longer feel compelled to defend every opinion. You become spacious. And in that spaciousness, grace enters. Grace is not something you earn, it is something you allow. It is the effortless support that flows when you stop resisting what is. The ego is constantly in opposition, arguing with reality, insisting that this moment should be different. But reality has already occurred. The present moment is not negotiable. Your resistance only tightens the knot of suffering. When you rise each morning and surrender your will to the higher wisdom within you, you loosen that knot. You say, in essence, use me, guide me, show me. And life begins to unfold with a softness you may have never known before. You will still encounter uncertainty. You will still face decisions that stretch you beyond your comfort zone. But instead of being paralyzed by doubt, you will feel an undercurrent of trust. Trust that you are being directed. Trust that even missteps are part of a larger choreography. Trust that there is intelligence woven into every encounter. This trust is not naive optimism, it is spiritual maturity. It is the understanding that you are not a random accident drifting through a chaotic universe. You are an intentional expression of infinite consciousness. You are here on purpose, with purpose. Even if that purpose reveals itself one breath at a time, the mind will occasionally attempt to reclaim control. It will ask, what if this goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I lose what I love? But fear is always a projection into a future that does not yet exist. When you are anchored in divine awareness, you see fear as a mental habit, not a prophecy. You gently bring your attention back to the present, back to your breath, back to the awareness that is watching the fear. And in that returning, you reclaim your power. There is extraordinary strength in gentleness. The world often equates strength with aggression, with dominance, with force. But consider water. It is soft, yielding, formless, and yet over time, it shapes mountains. It carves canyons. It sustains all life. Its power lies in its persistence and its alignment with its nature. When you begin your day connected to God, you become like water. Flexible, yet unstoppable. Calm, yet deeply powerful. You stop trying to bulldoze your way through obstacles and instead flow around them. You trust timing. You trust rhythm. You trust the unseen currents guiding you. And something else begins to shift, your relationship with yourself. So many people carry an inner critic that never rests. It replays mistakes, magnifies imperfections, compares relentlessly. It speaks in a tone that you would never use with a child, yet you direct it inward without hesitation. But when you remember your spiritual identity each morning, self-compassion naturally arises. You realize that growth is not a straight line. You recognize that you are evolving, learning, expanding. You stop measuring your worth by productivity or perfection. You start honoring your sincerity, your effort, your willingness to awaken. This gentler relationship with yourself radiates outward. When you are no longer at war within, you cease projecting conflict onto others. Peace becomes contagious. Your presence alone begins to soothe. Have you ever been around someone whose calm felt almost tangible? Someone who did not rush to fill silence, who did not react impulsively, who seemed grounded in something deeper than circumstance. That is not an accident. That is a person who has learned to root themselves in the sacred before engaging with the world. You can be that presence, not by pretending to be serene, not by suppressing emotion, but by consistently returning to your source, by making your morning communion non-negotiable, by valuing inner alignment more than outer approval. As days turn into weeks and weeks into months, this practice reshapes your life in ways that are both subtle and profound. You may notice that certain conflicts dissolve without confrontation. You may feel drawn toward new opportunities that resonate more deeply with your authentic self. You may release relationships or habits that no longer reflect who you are becoming. This is not loss. It is refinement. When a sculptor creates a masterpiece, they remove what does not belong. The excess stone falls away, revealing the form that was always present within. Starting your day with God is like placing your life in the hands of a master sculptor. Gradually, gently, what is false begins to crumble. What is essential remains. You are not being diminished. You are being revealed. And as you are revealed to yourself, fear begins to lose its authority. You realize that the worst thing that can happen is not failure or rejection, it is forgetting who you are. And because you are choosing remembrance each morning, you are protected from that deepest loss. The world may still test you, storms may still arise, but your foundation is no longer built on shifting sand. It is anchored in something eternal, something that existed before your name was spoken and will continue long after your final breath. There is immense freedom in living from that awareness. You no longer cling so tightly to outcomes. You participate fully, you give your best, you act with integrity, and then you release. You allow life to respond in its own mysterious way. This release is not indifference. It is confidence. It is knowing that your value does not fluctuate with external results. It is understanding that you are a conduit, not the ultimate controller. When you internalize this truth, gratitude becomes spontaneous. Even ordinary moments begin to shimmer with quiet beauty. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your footsteps, the sound of laughter. You begin to experience life not as a problem to be solved, but as a miracle to be witnessed. And that is the true transformation. Not that your circumstances magically rearrange themselves overnight, but that your perception expands. You see with new eyes. You listen with a softened heart. You move through the world as both participant and observer, fully engaged yet inwardly free. Each dawn becomes a sacred reset. Each breath becomes a reminder. Each encounter becomes an opportunity to express the love that flows through you. You realize that heaven is not a distant destination. It is a state of consciousness available here and now. And you access it not by striving, but by remembering, by choosing again and again to align with the divine essence within you before you align with the demands outside you. So continue waking with intention. Continue placing your awareness gently on the presence that animates you. Continue affirming your unity with something vast and benevolent. Let your mornings be a sanctuary. And as you walk into the world each day from that sanctuary, you will not merely exist, you will radiate. You will not merely survive, you will uplift. You will not merely pass through time, you will transform it by the quality of your consciousness. This is the power of beginning with God. It is not a ritual, it is a return to truth, a return to love, a return to the boundless being you have always been.